If you've been wondering what is really happening in Chatham-Kent's real estate market right now, last month's numbers tell a very interesting story. Because sales are up, prices are holding, but there are still some major economic pressures affecting what happens next. Hi everyone, I'm Jill Howe, broker with the Howe Group and KW Signature. And in today's video, I'm breaking down the March 2026 Chatham-Kent real estate market update. We're going to talk about the latest local numbers, what they mean for buyers and sellers, and how bigger issues like rising fixed mortgage rates, economic uncertainty, and global conflict are influencing our market here at home. And if you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere in Chatham-Kent, make sure you reach out. My contact information is in the description below. Let's start with the headline numbers. In March 2026, Chatham-Kent had 88 units sold compared with the 72 sold in March of last year. This is a year-over-year increase of just over 22%, which tells us buyer activity definitely picked up in March. That is important because after a softer start to the year, this shows that the spring momentum arrived and buyers started stepping back into the market. Now, let's talk about pricing. The average sales price in March was $428,000. That was down only about 0.5% from last March. So, from a month-to-month, year-over-year perspective, pricing was actually very stable. That is a strong sign for our market because it tells us that even with affordability concerns and economic pressure, values in Chatham-Kent held fairly steady in March. But here is the bigger picture. Year to date, the average sales price is still down 10% from 2025. So what that tells me is that March was stronger, but the overall first quarter is still reflecting some softness from the earlier months of the year. Another really important piece of this report is that year-to-date total sales are down 3.5% from last year. But total value of home sales is up 13.6% at $43.5 million. And that combination tells us this market is improving in a meaningful way. Even though total deal count year-to-date is slightly lower, more dollar value is moving through the market. That can mean stronger market activity, more confidence from active buyers, and in some cases, a healthier mix of home selling. New listings were up 3% from last year. This to me suggests that we are seeing fresh spring inventory come to the market, but not an overwhelming surge of supply. That is actually a pretty healthy sign. It gives buyers more choice, but it does not automatically create major downward pressure on pricing. So, right now, Chatham-Kent feels more like a market that is moving towards a balanced market than one that is overheating or one that is in trouble. Now, let's zoom out for a second, because real estate does not operate in a bubble. Even though our local numbers improved in March, buyers and sellers are still being influenced by what is happening economically. The Bank of Canada held its overnight rate at 2.25% on March 18th, but it also said that the war in the Middle East has increased volatility in energy prices and financial markets. The bank also said Canada is still adjusting to tariffs in a changing global trade environment. And this matters because even if people want to move, uncertainty affects confidence. When consumers are worried about inflation, fuel prices, grocery bills, job security, or the broader economy, they become more cautious with big decisions like buying or selling a home. This is the part a lot of people miss. Even though the Bank of Canada has held its key rate, fixed mortgage rates have still been moving higher because they are tied more closely to the bond yields, inflation expectations, and market risk. And over the past month, rising global uncertainty and inflation concerns have pushed fixed mortgage rates upward. That means some buyers are dealing with reduced affordability, even though the Bank of Canada has not raised its policy rate. So, in practical terms, that can slow some buyers down. shrink budgets, and even make pre-approvals more important than ever. So what is my honest take on this inside of Chatham-Kent right now? I think March was encouraging. Sales improved, prices were stable, new listings increased modestly, and overall, the market showed signs of a stronger spring activity. But I would still describe this as a market that requires strategy. For buyers, there is opportunity, but affordability and financing really matter. For sellers, homes, they can sell, but pricing right, preparing the home properly, and standing out online is still critical. This is not a market to guess in, it's a market to plan in. If you're thinking about buying, selling, downsizing, or just want to understand what your home might be worth in today's Chatham-Kent market, I would be more than happy to help. I'm Jill Howe, broker with KW Signature in the Howe Group. You can call, text, or send me an email. And if you found this market update helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone else who is watching the market in Chatham-Kent.